Postpartum depression. Hi ladies, it's Abby McKenna from Ready Set Mum, and I am coming to you to talk to you about a really complex and sensitive topic, but a topic that I think is so important and needs to be spoken about, and that is postpartum depression. Now, postpartum depression is when you experience depression after you've had a baby, and you would be so surprised at the amount of women that experience postpartum depression. Now, have you even heard of that term postpartum depression before? For some of you ladies, you would have never heard of it. Some of you may be experiencing postpartum depression. Some of you may think that you're experiencing postpartum depression, and some of you might be watching this because you're concerned that you're at risk of experiencing postpartum depression. Now, it's really, really important to note that people have different experiences and symptoms with postpartum depression. There's actually different degrees of postpartum depression, and for everyone, it can be really different. So I've heard women that have experienced postpartum depression explain it that they just didn't feel like themselves, that they just didn't have energy and they couldn't find any enjoyment in anything. And then there are some people that experience different degrees where they feel like harming themselves or their baby, or they just feel like they're not bonding with their baby, and they find it really hard to get through and do the things that we feel as mothers we should do. But I think the hardest thing for us to do is actually to stand up and say, you know what, I need a little bit of extra help. I need a little bit of support. It's okay to say I'm not okay. When you have a baby, there is a lot of things going on. Not only is there physical changes and there's hormonal changes and there's emotional changes, there's also lifestyle changes, and all of a sudden you have to consider someone else. And then it's the same if you have 2 or 3 or more children. It puts stress on a relationship. So it's not just what's going on within yourself and the changes within yourself, but things can happen to us within our lives around the time that we're pregnant or we have a baby, which can actually heighten the risk of postpartum depression. So things like if you have a stressful marriage or a stressful relationship, if there's some kind of trauma or loss happening in your life, maybe you're still at work and you're struggling to juggle everything and you just don't feel right. For me, I suffered postpartum depression from every definition of what that was, and I actually believe that I suffered it with both of my children. And I didn't speak up about it because I really wanted to be that strong person, and there's a lot of expectations in society, and there's a lot of expectations that we put on ourselves, and double that with the stigma that's sometimes present in some communities with postpartum depression. It's really hard to speak up, but I promise, looking back, that one of the biggest things that you can do is go out and seek the right support. Go and see your healthcare provider. Talk to other women. Talk to other women that have managed to either avoid it or have gone through it before and have ways of dealing with it, because you will be a stronger person at the end of it. One of the things that I found really beneficial was actually understanding my mind. And I'm so serious about this, was getting to know my mind, that cycle of negative thinking, and actually taking actionable force against what I didn't feel like doing. So I went through a real time where self-care just wasn't a part of my life, and that helped me spiral into this feeling of not being me, this internal struggling to bond with my baby. Because as much as I love being a mum, it's not always easy. Ladies, I'll be honest, sometimes it really sucks, but if it sucks for long periods of time, put your hand up. You know, there was times where I wasn't exercising, I wasn't eating properly. I really struggled to find the good things in my day for days and days, months at a time. And one of the things that I learned was taking actionable force against that. Going for a walk when I didn't feel like doing it, to spend time with my baby, but put some time and energy back into me. And you know, vitamin D, the sun, is so important. Vitamin D is actually a vitamin that helps increase your mood. So getting sunlight, or going on the internet and buying a lamp that gives you vitamin D. But whatever you need to do, and there are so many different options out there, go and see a doctor. Go and see a therapist, talk to other women, get a really great support network. Because mums, when we go through this together. We really do. And as a group of women, as a community of women, we need to lower the judgment, and we need to be safe to speak out with zero judgment. And this is why I love Ready Set Mum, because this is what it's all about. You know, the statistics for postpartum depression are pretty staggering. The statistics floating around at the moment are between 10 to 15% of every single woman who gives birth to a live baby, 10 to 15% of women, I should say, who gives birth to a live baby will experience postpartum depression. Now, 60 to 80% of women definitely get the baby blues, and this is feeling sad and feeling stressed and feeling anxious, but it doesn't last for as long. Postpartum depression is those feelings over a long period of time. And some of it can last for 6 months and more. Up to 50% of women will experience postpartum depression symptoms for 6 months or more, and it will often happen within the first year of having your baby. Now, there's a lot of experts out there saying that 10 to 15% of women that will experience postpartum depression should actually be doubled. And some experts are also saying that it will be tripled. And then, of course, there's some other factors that might heighten your risk of experiencing postpartum depression. Financial pressures, your background, if you're in a situation of poverty or abuse, make sure you go out and get the right support as soon as you feel like you're having these symptoms or you might be at risk. There's nothing wrong with preparing, there's nothing wrong with talking about this. Talk to your partners about it as well. Interestingly, postpartum depression is not just for women. Now, and postpartum depression doesn't happen to just certain people, it can happen to anyone, including men, including our partners, even if they are not the ones who have actually delivered the baby. And the statistics there are 10% of men or partners of women who have had a baby will also experience postpartum depression. I also read a statistic where up to 50% of partners who have a lady who has delivered a baby, a partner who has delivered a baby that has postpartum depression will also experience symptoms of depression. It's really something that we need to start speaking about more honestly and openly and sharing our experiences. And whatever works for you to manage this time is absolutely fine, whether that's a medical practitioner, whether that's a support group, a therapist, a counselor, or a holistic type of treatment. Please go out and do whatever you need to do. It doesn't last forever. It doesn't have to last forever. And I'm speaking very sincerely and to you when I say I understand that feeling. And we want to be the best mums that we can be. And sometimes if we don't capture it when we need to, it can spiral and start to feel worse and worse and worse. So we are here for you at Ready Set Mum. And one of our beautiful mums, one of our team members, Yvonne, who has written the ultimate guide to postpartum depression, has done a fantastic job at identifying some of the risk factors and some of the symptoms. And one thing that I can't stress enough is recognize the symptoms. And if you're experiencing any of them, like I said at the beginning, put your hand up and say, I need some extra help, I need some extra support, and then go out and do whatever it is that you need to do in order to deal with this moment the best way that you can. Lots of love here from us at Ready Set Mum. Thank you again, Yvonne, for such a fantastic blog post. And we'll see you again here soon at Ready Set Mum.